Think about that. 200% of the registered voters in a district vote.
I guess they want to see whether or not it's my real hair.
What does that mean? Took off all of his social media. Haha, but we kept it. We've got it. The man is a vicious, vicious man.
They say you wear the worst hairpiece I've ever seen. What a horrible wig. No, I mean, it's actually my hair.
Ever wonder what it's like to work for Trump? Spoiler alert, it's not all gold toilets and spray tans. One lawyer just spilled the beans on why he quit, and it's wilder than a toupee in a hurricane. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much! Now, back to the video. It turns out working for Trump is like trying to play chess while your opponent eats the pieces. Remember when lawyers just worried about billable hours? This poor schmuck had to worry about democracy's expiration date. And let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. Our legal eagle thought he'd be making America great again. Instead, he found himself in a world where alternative facts were as common as Trump's burger wrappers. One day he's arguing about the Constitution. The next he's wondering if he can make it legal for Trump to pardon himself. And his hair. Picture this. Trump bursts into the office, hair aflutter, demanding, "Can you make it so I can pardon myself? Oh, and while you're at it, can we make my hair a protected national treasure?" Our lawyer friend started sweating more than Rudy Giuliani at a press conference. Was this what he signed up for? As the days went by, the requests got crazier. "Hey, smart lawyer guy, can we sue the wind for messing up my hair?" Trump asked one day. Our hero realized he'd spent more time Googling "is this treason" than how to tie a tie. It was like being stuck in a never-ending episode of Law & Order Special Hairpiece Unit. But it wasn't just the ridiculous requests that were getting to him. Our lawyer found himself spending more time thinking about ethics than actually lawyering, as Taco Pina put it. "I had to follow my compass, and it was my time there was done." Translation, I'd rather defend a ham sandwich than continue this baloney. The ethical gymnastics were getting Olympic level intense. One minute he's trying to make falsifying business records sound like a fun hobby. The next he's explaining why hush money is just a fancy term for friendship fees. It was enough to make anyone question their life choices. Our lawyer friend started to realize that being Trump's attorney was less about upholding the law and more about finding loopholes big enough to drive a golf cart through. He was spending more time contemplating the ethical implications of his work than focusing on traditional legal tasks. It was like trying to build a house of cards in a hurricane named Donald.
Barbara Walters interviewed me 2 years ago, and she said, "Is that really your hair?"
Republicans shut out in the city of Milwaukee and also in Madison. Republicans almost uniformly shut out.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
You say there's no evidence. Sidney was giving you information that come from affidavits from other people.
As the days went by, our hero found himself in a constant state of moral whiplash. He'd wake up thinking, "Today I'll defend the Constitution," only to end up Googling, "Can you impeach the Supreme Court for being mean to my client?" It was enough to make anyone want to trade their law degree for a nice, quiet job as a rodeo clown. Our lawyer thought he'd seen it all, but Trump had one more ace up his sleeve. Or should we say, one more burger wrapper in his trash can. What greasy scheme finally made our legal eagle say, "I'm out faster than Trump's hairpiece in a windstorm"? Picture this. Trump bursts into the office, hair defying gravity, clutching a half-eaten Big Mac. "Hey, smarty pants lawyer, I've got a brilliant idea. Let's sue the wind for messing up my hair." Our hero blinked, wondering if he'd accidentally stumbled into a cartoon. But nope, this was just another day in Trump Tower. As the days went by, the requests got nuttier than a squirrel's winter stash. "Can we make my hair a protected national treasure?" Trump asked one day, stroking his golden mane lovingly. Our lawyer started sweating more than Rudy Giuliani at a hair dye convention, but it wasn't just the silly demands that were getting to him. Our legal friend found himself spending more time thinking about ethics than actually lawyering. It was like trying to build a house of cards in a hurricane named Donald. The ethical gymnastics were getting Olympic level intense. One minute, he's trying to make falsifying business records sound like a fun hobby. The next, he's explaining why hush money is just a fancy term for friendship fees. It was enough to make anyone question their life choices. Our lawyer started to realize that being Trump's attorney was less about upholding the law and more about finding loopholes big enough to drive a golf cart through. He was spending more time contemplating the moral implications of his work than focusing on traditional legal tasks. It was like trying to keep a straight face while Trump explained his very stable genius status. As Taco Pina put it, I had to follow my compass and it was my time there was done. Translation: I'd rather defend a ham sandwich than continue this baloney. Our hero knew it was time to make like a tree and leave. Before he ended up as firewood in Trump's dumpster fire of a legal strategy. But the real kicker? The moment of clarity came when Trump asked him to argue that Diet Coke gives you superpowers in court. Our lawyer had a crisis of conscience. He realized he'd been so busy trying to keep up with Trump's demands, he'd forgotten why he became a lawyer in the first place. Spoiler alert, it wasn't to debate the legal status of carbonated beverages. The final straw came when our lawyer overheard Trump on the phone saying, "You can't say there's no way he'll get convicted. Tough prosecutors would not bring cases if they didn't think there was some legal case." That's when it hit him like a ton of MAGA hats. He was on the wrong side of history, and turns out telling Trump "I quit" is harder than teaching him how to use spell check. Our lawyer friend was about to learn that sometimes the most patriotic thing you can do is walk away from the White House and straight into a stiff drink. So there our hero was, stuck between a rock and a hard place. Or more accurately, between Trump and a prison cell. He knew it was time to bail, but how do you break up with the world's most powerful man baby? It's not like you can just send a text saying, "Sorry, it's not me, it's your complete disregard for the law." Our lawyer took a deep breath, straightened his tie, and marched into Trump's office. He found the president busy tweeting about how unfair life is when you can't just declare yourself king. "Mr. President," he began, "we need to talk." Trump looked up, his hair defying gravity as usual. "Make it quick. I'm in the middle of solving world peace via Twitter." Our hero gulped. This was it, the moment of truth. "Sir, I think it's time for me to move on." Trump's face turned as orange as it always is. "Move on. What are you, a quitter? Nobody quits on me. I'm the best boss. Ask anyone. They'll tell you. It's not that, sir. It's just, I can't keep defending things I don't believe in. Like your claim that windmills cause cancer or that you invented the question mark." Trump's eyes narrowed. "Are you saying you don't believe me? Fake lawyer? You're fired." Our lawyer blinked. "Sir, I'm quitting. You can't fire me." "I just did. I'm the best at firing people. Ask anyone." And just like that, our hero found himself in a bizarre game of, "You can't quit. You're fired." It was like a playground argument, but with potential jail time involved. As he packed up his office, our lawyer felt a weight lift off his shoulders. Sure, he was out of a job, but at least he wouldn't have to explain why "I'm rubber, you're glue" isn't a valid legal defense. He thought back to what Taco Pina had said about ex-lawyers going on TV to dish the dirt. I see many lawyers, ex-lawyers of the president, go on television once they're removed from the team or leave the team and discuss him. It shows a lack of confidence in oneself. Our hero nodded. He wasn't about to become another talking head. He had his dignity and his sanity, both of which were in short supply in Trump Tower. As he walked out of the building for the last time, our lawyer friend felt lighter than Trump's tax returns. He may have lost a job, but he found his spine, and in the world of Trump, that's rarer than a coherent tweet. He thought about the journey he'd been on, from bright-eyed believer to disillusioned defender, from yes man to nope man. It had been a wild ride, but he was glad to get off. After all, there's only so many times you can argue that very stable genius is a legal term before you start to lose your mind. Our hero realized that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away, even if it means giving up a front row seat to the craziest show on earth. He'd chosen his moral compass over loyalty to a man whose idea of ethics was, if you're rich enough, they let you do it.